Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. The white supremacists don't have any new plays in the playbook, and neither do these bootlicks. Congressman Al Green from Texas, naturally, once again decided to have an outburst at Trump's State of the Union address. This time around, he decided to protest how Trump compared the Obamas to monkeys, or apes in this case. He's defending Barack Obama's honor. Well, the sign Green held up said that black people are not apes, so at least he put that on there. But the problem is Barack Obama doesn't seem to be too outraged, at least not as much as Al Green. Barack Obama took Donald Trump's disrespect with his usual nonchalance. The nation's first tethered president is always able to easily laugh off anti-black disrespect. He always does that. It's a reflex for him. So that's the first problem with Al Green's little display. If he's going to object to Trump's monkey shines, it would have been a hell of a lot better if Barack Obama was going hard in the paint on it too. But as we saw with Skip Gates and every black victim of police murder and the Flint water poisoning victims and the victims of the Mother Emanuel Church massacre, Barack Obama simply doesn't get outraged when black people are harmed or disrespected, not even when the victim is himself or his wife. A brainless goof like Obama thinks the way he's doing is he's showing the world that he's just so above it. But in reality, he's showing everyone that he's either too cowardly to take on white supremacists, at best, or that he's desperately trying to get in good with them, which is the same thing. So that's the first problem. This is why the immigrant black caucus needs to be totally flushed down the toilet. I don't care who your favorite Negro politician in Congress is, not one of them has called out that the allegedly black caucus spends most of its time caping for immigrants, abortion, LGBT issues, anything except for black people. Now, if you're going to sit there and make a display at the State of the Union address, make a display for our reparations. Make a display for an anti-black hate crime law. That's what you do it for. But instead, it's no, we're doing this to protest Donald Trump disrespecting our precious President Obama. Again, my problem with Al Green's protest is the same problem I had when he did the same stunt last year. He's doing it as a display to toe the party line. Holding up a sign that says black people are not apes, that's fine. But the problem is he did it in response to Trump's video about Obama. When Trump was calling African countries S-holes, I wonder if Al Green was screaming at the State of the Union address then. He's doing this because this is within bounds for the Democratic Party for him to do, because ultimately this is not anything that requires white power to give up any of its power. Let's be honest, if you're looking for reasons to protest Donald Trump on the grounds of his obvious flagrant racism, you didn't need to wait until that video he posted about the Obamas to do it. Trump gives material daily to protest him for. And yet Al Green decided, hey, if I'm going to get myself kicked out of the chamber again, this is what it's going to be for. He keeps doing this, and he keeps doing it for the wrong reasons. Last year, you'll recall, Al Green disrupted the State of the Union address. He said that time it was simply on general principle. And he claimed that he had to do it. Why? Not about black people, not about Trump's racism. He wasn't so concerned about that last year, apparently. Last year, the outrage du jour was healthcare and Medicare. That's why Al Green caused that disruption at the State of the Union address last year. Healthcare and Medicare. And now he's done it again, this after the very influential and very powerful Hakeem Jeffries said, there's not going to be any disruptions this year, we're not going to be doing that this year, and then Al Green goes ahead and does it again. Because Hakeem Jeffries has the House caucus so very well disciplined and in line, don't you know? And I'm sure that Al Green's frequent displays like this, these stunts he keeps pulling, has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Al Green's up for re-election this year. And the way things are looking, though, he may not even make it past the Democratic primary this time around. Because this year, his competitor is Congressman Christian Menefee. Both of these self-interested influence peddlers are fighting for the same seat, the newly drawn 18th Congressional District in Texas. This happened after the Texas legislature redrew the voter district map to eliminate black representation in certain areas, a move that Democrats have done absolutely nothing anywhere else to retaliate for. All of these Democrat-controlled states and none of their legislatures have decided, hey, if you decide you're going to reduce the number of black representation in your state, we're reducing the number of white representation in ours. About the only place that they actually did make sure to redraw the map was in California, but they only did that to make it possible for more Hispanics to get elected. As far as black people are concerned, that's not a constituency they care about. And apparently neither do any of the do-nothings in the congressional black talkers. Not even Al Green. Because according to the Houston Chronicle, a recent poll showed that Christian Menifee is leading Al Green 52 to 28% among 1,000 poll respondents. And they say a poll shows that nearly 2/3 of likely Democratic primary voters in the new 18th district had previously been constituents of Al Green's 9th congressional district. Among voters in the old 9th district, Menifee's lead went from 52% over Al Green to 43%. Yeah, that's a smaller margin, but it shows that nonetheless Menifee has a commanding lead regardless, even among Green's own supporters. One that Al Green has to be aware of. He has to know about this fact, obviously. And to the old guard like him, he depends on the DNC machine and connections to local corrupt politicians and these pork chop preachers and civil rights retreads. This is the little network that people like him put in place simply so that he can perpetuate his seat in Congress. And what's he doing with it? Well, I'm sure he's producing for his little circle of buddies. But for black folks out there, the rank and file, he ain't produced anything. That's the reason why Al Green was acting up last year. Healthcare, Medicare, these are issues that are of concern to older voters, who I'm sure happen to be his core support. But this time around, he's just saying black in general, so he's throwing stuff against the wall to see if anything sticks. This is a man who's afraid. He has good reason to be. What he did was not so much a political protest as it was him trying to get some quickie headlines for himself. This is what he's been reduced to. Oh, and did I mention that the primary election between Al Green and Menifee takes place on March 3rd? So Al Green has less than a week to turn around this double-digit deficit. Now, the white media has been consistently wrong about the Orange Man's poll numbers, but does anyone want to lay odds on whether they're also wrong about Al Green's too? We can't get these good-for-nothings to do squat for us, but they're ready to jump out a window for literally every other constituency and pet issue from the white left. Barack Obama wouldn't spit on black people if we were on fire. Why is Al Green defending the honor of a worm who has none? This is the thing that these bootlicks never figure out and aren't very concerned about past their own noses. That is, that the white DNC leadership, as far as they're concerned, they don't mind having a younger bootlick in there. In fact, they would actually prefer it mainly because not that they like this Christian Menifee creep, but because of the fact that they look at these younger bootlicks, as far as they're concerned, these guys are basically the new house Negroes. Oh, they're going to be a lot stronger than these old worn out ones. Yeah, Al Green, it's time to put you out to pasture. You can't pick the cotton so fast anymore. That's the mental arithmetic that the white DNC leadership uses whenever it's time to have a changing of the guard. Well, we just got through picking this new boy down at the slave auction. What's his name, Earl? His name is Christian Menifee. Well, what's Menifee saying? Well, he's saying that he wants old Cleophas's spot over by the cotton gin. Well, if he's strong enough to push Cleophas into the swimming hole, I guess we might give it to him maybe. But we gotta seize first. So that's what's going on. It's just the same old garbage about here comes the new bootlick, and if he can prove that he's strong enough to push out the old one, now he goes ahead and he gets to toe the line for Massa, and he gets the few crumbs from Massa's table. That's what these bootlicks are always doing. They're sitting here ready to slit each other's throats. They're ready to push their own mothers down a flight of stairs just so that they can get that pat on the head. That's what they're competing for. And obviously they're not competing for power or respect, because bootlicks have neither power nor respect. This is all about them getting to be the mascot for Massa. And that's good enough for them, but fortunately it's not good enough for the black grassroots. So if Al Green winds up getting himself run out of office, who cares? He wasn't doing anything for us. And this Christian Menifee punk, this is just somebody who's going to be warming the bench until they find the next suck-up. But what this Al Green guy did, this is not some victimless crime. Whenever you have a black person who's actually causing a disruption, it better be because there's a substantive policy change that they are demanding. It can't be just because I know some of my older constituent voters back in Texas is watching. I know I'm going to say Medicare and I'm going to say healthcare because that's the most important thing to older voters, healthcare, for obvious reasons. Well, that didn't work too much. That didn't move the needle. Man, I'm down by double digits. I know, I'll say black people in general. Come one, come all. That's what he's doing at this point. He's throwing stuff against the wall. Literally, about the only good thing that came out of his stunts was that right now, Al Green got some of the white right upset about it, at least for a hot minute. That was in the news cycle. And I freely admit, I enjoy that. I don't mind seeing the white right get the screws put to them. Anything that irks these scumbags, I'm fine with that. Let the human garbage wail. But the problem happens to be that he's not forwarding an actual agenda. These displays are not actually meant to go anywhere other than the polls. Vote for me. See the lengths I'm willing to go to shake my fist at the orange man. I'm so outraged with him. See, you need somebody who's going to voice your outrage. That's what he's actually doing. Well, for the white right who don't like what Al Green did, you got no leg to stand on. You've had numerous white politicians who have acted up during the State of the Union address, most notably that Joe Wilson clown during the Obama administration, as well as other assorted trash like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and others. These clowns have always made a spectacle of themselves at the State of the Union address under Democratic presidents, so now you got some Democrats who are doing the same thing. When you destroy decorum, this is what you'll wind up with. So for the white right who are kvetching and whining about what Al Green did, I suggest that Al Green claimed to have Tourette's. He should tell people, hey, I can't help what I'm doing. These outbursts, I can't help it, so you have to accommodate me. If he did that, if he claimed to have Tourette's, why, they wouldn't even be able to remove him from the congressional chamber, because as the white right says, that would be discrimination. I, for one, would love to see somebody use the same pathetic talking points that these white racists have been using for the last few days. But I think after all these decades, we certainly are smart enough to realize that the congressional black talkers are not really interested in representing anyone other than themselves. Let this stand as yet another example. These guys will humiliate themselves, they'll make fools of themselves, they'll sit here, scream and yell for every issue under the sun except for ours. These are people who are actually against the black community. When you have a constituency that you see dying right in front of you, and the only thing on your mind is keeping your parking spot over by the Capitol building, then you are somebody who we can't afford to have in there. And this Menifee character, he's not going to be any different. What's required here is going to be for there to be a concerted effort at the black grassroots to finally start getting people who actually are going to represent foundational black Americans into positions of representation. That's where this goes next. As I've said for a while now, I'm sure that a lot of you have been giving serious thought to actually running for office, and I'm not even talking about Congress. Truth be told, I think at this stage that might be a little bit too ambitious unless you got some truly deep pockets and you got some real organization on the ground. But what is more feasible for a number of you who have been giving serious thought to it is to actually have something that could be done for, say, a few $1,000s instead, where you actually look and see, are there any sort of wheat gazelles, if you will, who could be picked off? That means you have to choose your target carefully. It's just a fact that most eligible voters actually stay home, and the main reason why is they didn't see anyone worth voting for. And with idiots like Al Green and Christian Menifee running around, can you blame them? Well, that's not going to change unless people of conscience and mission change it. Why not you? That way, the next time people see some black congressperson causing a ruckus in the chamber, holding up a sign, it will say, I represent FBA. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Reasonable Dude, White Baby Jesus, Yafet Jones, Michael Gilmore, and Julia Ragland. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.